Okay. Well, someone's been spamming the likes, but whatever. So, America, huh? And I just woke up, by the way. I was exhausted. I hated school because I had no friends, and the teacher kept pulling me out because of my autism. Yeah, that's right. You told me about that, Sleep, didn't you? Who's Matthew? Oh, Darren was here, and the job training was tiring. Oh, Darren likes green, like me. Damn, you both like green, huh? And Dumbo likes blue. Oh, don't worry about the emoji, Dumbbell. America. All right, let me just say something, okay? My brother has to go to get my mother. Oh shit! Yeah, that's right. Shit, the candle's gonna burn out. Hush, mama. Oh, that's burn out much. See, because there was a police video. Well, I think Dumbo and I were talking about it the other day. Oh, it's tragic. First off, this is the candle, right? It's not burnt. It's been like lit off for like 2 hours. And it has not drained much. This is a nice candle brand. This is Tuscany Candle Caribbean Market. Isn't it nice? It's like if you're landing in the Bahamas. But basically in my state, this is a little heartbreaking. I'm about to share with you both. A man that was white. I'm sorry, but you know what? I looked it up online that our American police need way more training than I thought they need, because his name is Michael. He's my age. He needs to get like $100 million by the state. I mean, I'm sure our state has a lot of money, definitely, because let's just say he was just minding his own business, right? Because the officers thought that he has a warrant, and clearly he wasn't doing anything wrong, right? He was minding his own business. And they thought, oh, you know what? We're going to tuck you underground. Even if he acted aggressive, that is no way that these officers should be acting, right? It was 140 degrees that day. And see, sorry about that. That was Fire TV. They thought it was okay to put his head on the ground when it was like 180 degrees. I think it's like 190. They say with asphalt, like, damn, let's see. It was supposed to be like around 60 degrees warmer. I'm not sure. And he could have possibly died, which means he has permanent burns. People underestimate our state. We get blistering hot here. This isn't, no offense, ghetto Florida heat. Okay. Yeah, they get humid. That's nothing. Okay, we're talking about asphalt here. Like, imagine laying on Mars. However, though, you're inside of an oven, right? Like, I'm trying to think how hot I usually cook my stuff. Like, when I used to buy my sausages at the 99-cent store, I'm thinking, you know, it's probably like 260. So it's like if you have the oven on low, you're going to still be feeling the red bars. So it's like as though they were cooking them alive. And they're supposed to give him $50 million. But that's not enough. Because that man, he has to pay the hospital bills. He's traumatized for life by these officers in my city, which is really incredible. Not a great way, because the American police system is so corrupted that they only get like around like maybe a half a year of training, because there's 52 weeks a year, right? So imagine divide that by half. There's probably like maybe like 5 months of training. Well, let's just say in Finland or Suomi, they need 2 years of training. You know, it's so funny how as an American, we're supposed to have free rights. I do love this country though, right? However, though, we have so many backslides. It's ridiculous. Oh God. Look who uploaded. Oh boy, Jimmy Rowe. He's a prankster. Bailing random strangers out of jail. How's that even illegal? 19-year-old with baby mamas puts in danger to doing this. Oh God. Anyway, that's being an American for you. Yes, yes! Because we uploaded! Yay! I'll watch that later. Damn it.
Looks like we're all good. Looks like we're all
Man, I want to watch all of that. I'm gonna miss Spiral 3. I'll watch all his Spiral videos. Oh, he had to be Canadian. But with the big leaf in his flag. I thought I could share that with y'all because Dumbo and I know about this before he had to go to bed the other night. And I was appalled because why on earth would our officers in this country would do that to another human being? And get this, he's white. He's not my skin color. He's not Hispanic. He's not Asian. He's white. Right? You just cannot do that to another human being. You can't. You know, I'm getting these weather updates again in my suggestions. You know, the ones I've been telling you about, right? The Max guy. Oh, it's that Hey Y'all guy. Right. You see they've been popping up and they get a lot of views because they do such a great job, Waterman Plus. So the winter thing is still going through, huh? I see. Anyway, I gotta stop watching these. It was an accident because this always popping up. And look what's happening in the rest of the country right now, right? Hold on.
With that major winter storm impacting millions of Americans in the air and on the roads, there are now at least 4 deaths nationwide.
4 deaths? Oh, dear.
Is being hit
wow, that's in Maryland? Are you serious? It stretched all the way Maryland? Oh, my goodness, that's a lot of snow. Because y'all need to know, right? Brownie doesn't live far off from Maryland. She lives in Delaware. I hope she's all right. Oh, my Buddha, that's a lot. Holy crap.
So after the plains and Midwest saw the brunt of the system over the weekend, Topeka, Kansas, and Kansas City reported double-digit snowfall totals, their largest snowstorms in more than.
I forgot to tell I gotta tell my brother when she gets back. And I looked it up that in Kansas City, they're supposed to be in the single digits. So with wind chill, it's probably be like, who knows? Like, depending on the wind, like 9 to what, 20 below 0? I'm shocked they get that cold. My goodness.
And folks in central Missouri even saw thundersleet. Just take a look at this.
Thundersleet?
There. Speaking of skies, more than 4,500 domestic flights are delayed today. More than 1,800 are canceled, according to data from FlightAware. And at Chicago O'Hare, one of the nation's busiest airports, a ground delay is in effect through tonight. We are covering all of it this hour. NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns will have the forecast. NBC News correspondent.
So around Philadelphia, they get snow. The capital, Richmond, so all Virginia is covered. Okay, so I think. Nope, Brownie's gonna get snow. Oh crap! I hope she's doing all right. Yep, all over Delaware because I'm seeing the map, so they're covered.
Kansas City, but let's begin with NBC News reporter Gary Grumbach. He's in Washington D.C. Gary, when it's all said and done, I think D.C. could end up with what, 12 inches of snow? I see a lot of it around you. What are you seeing?
Yeah, close to it. Okay, we have real winter wonderland here in downtown DC. I am not an official meteorologist here, but this is about 6 inches or so of the.
That's a lot.
Stuff right now, and it's a good.
You see, like how I talked. I'm not sure if y'all saw the video when I talk about snow. This is what I'm talking about, but we had it in Orcas, right? So maybe in Orcas, it's like half as much. It was a lot. I know it was, but I don't think it was that high though, because it doesn't snow that much in the Pacific. Because it's with the it's kind of weird because in the Pacific the mountains are much more taller, right? But in the East they get more snow. So maybe it's because of the cold front or the warm front. I'm not sure though. So that's a little ironic.
Pretty much shut down today. The federal government is closed. Schools around the entire region are closed in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And Congress was, of course, in session for the certification of the electoral votes, but they're headed home now as well. And it's a good thing folks are pretty much staying off the roads and letting the.
It does look beautiful, though. I have to be honest.
Airports are a mess. We are seeing 1,800 cancellations so far, more than 4,300 delays nationwide. There are entire closures at airports around this country. So it's a good idea to just to stay safe and to enjoy some of the snow where you can, Kate.
Great tips, Gary. Thank you. And Maggie, let's bring you in. People in Kansas City are dealing with one of its largest snowstorms ever. And as we mentioned, in that part of the country, the storm has turned deadly. What should we know?
Yeah, guys, we're still getting details in on this. Obviously, a tragic turn. What we know right now, 2 deaths in Kansas being blamed on weather-related crashes. 1 death here in Missouri. We're told that's a public works employee who died removing snow. And then 1 more death in Texas. Authorities there just saying it was someone who was found dead amid the cold weather. So we'll keep on digging.
Texas?
Our hearts go out to those families. But you're right.
That's awful.
Kansas City will kind of spread out and show you this. I mean, look at these cars. These clearly haven't moved since this snow fell. We had roughly, I'll leave it to Bill to get the particulars, but a foot of snow here in Kansas City.
So, by the way, they are going to get more snow, though. Might as well check that channel, though. I mean, it keeps popping up. I'm going to check it anyway. I know, because I keep viewing, because I like the weather channel, or just the weather in general. On Thursday and Friday, if you've seen that video, that they are to get more snow. Hopefully, maybe be only like a couple inches, because it looks like it'd be like a few snow showers. But, of course, the weather does shift a lot.
And it just buried the streets. It's been a mess here across the city and on the highways in this part of the country. Really, Kansas and Missouri hit hard over the weekend, kind of the bullseye for this system. Dozens of wrecks, dozens of injuries, and of course, we now know about those fatal crashes as well. And then again, as Gary talked about, air travel, also a mess. We actually met 2 pilots here in Kansas City. They're from Arizona, and they've been stuck here since Saturday. Here's part of that conversation.
What?
Yeah, I knew we weren't going anywhere.
You know you're here for
I told my flight attendants and
I can tell it's from my state. We do talk like this. What a weird coincidence. Are you serious? They're from my state. Well, I hope the pirate men are doing all right.
They're like, it's a done deal. Just hang out, chill. Let's get some food. Let's survive.
How striking is this?
Very. I was here a year ago, roughly around the same time, and this was not the conditions that we were seeing.
You understand? They're from my state. We're shocked. Okay, yes, it does snow in Flagstaff. However, though, to see snow like this, I mean, you gotta be in Flagstaff to experience it, right? But oh my goodness.
Yeah, again, you heard from those guys not having winter coats. By the way,
yeah, I don't blame them. We don't have coats here. We have sweaters, you know? Unless you're on the Flagstaff, which is the high country. We call it that when you go up north, right? I do wonder why we do. Well, if I consider this my own definition, it just means that it's high elevation, right? So, yeah, we do call it the high country. If you call it the Pacific Rim, wait, that's the movie, right?
Listen, my other pilot here, like, it's a done deal. Just hang out, chill. Let's get some food. Let's survive.
How striking is this?
Very. I was here a year ago, roughly around the same time, and this was not the conditions that we were seeing.
It's so weird. I could tell they're from my state.
Yeah, you heard from those guys not having winter coats. By the way, one final point, you can see how bright the sun is right here. It's hard to even look into. Even with that, this stuff is slowly melting. City officials saying this could take days to clean up, guys.
Yeah, because the thing is, with the low temp, like throughout the later of the week, it's gonna be what, like the 30s and teens, maybe. So of course, it's gonna take. Hush, mamas! Hush, mamas! Hold on. Hush, mamas! Hush. She's barking. Hush, Bella. She's barking at no one. Unless she probably just hears our car engine.
Good sledding, maybe. But let me bring you in. What are we watching for today? And I know there might be a second storm moving in.
Yeah, it's that time of year. So the bulk of the heaviest precipitation.
So basically, if Slade is still here, right, they are going to get some rain. Like, and maybe like ice around, Yeah, let's see. It's looks like it's like towards like mid and western North Carolina. I'm on the Raleigh region. Oh, I forgot Charlotte is that far backward because I'm on New Bern and Raleigh. They're difficult to get some rain coming in.
The backside's going to have another 1 or 2 inches that's going to move through West Virginia later tonight around Washington, D.C. So we're not calling for a lot of heavy additional snow, more nuisance type stuff. So a lot of people are already beginning the cleanup.
So, oh dear, even in the deep south. Wow, so Florida, they're supposed to have a cold weather advisory, Mobile, Alabama, New Orleans.
This storm, we have cold weather advisory
really
along the Gulf Coast, from Tampa all the way back to New Orleans. And this cold air is going to set the stage for some southern ice and snow. Now,
yep, here's the wind chill, right? How it feels to your skin. I'm surprised Albuquerque is only 42 degrees. Yet in my mother's city, it's almost sub-zero. How is it colder in Kansas City than in Chicago? Chicago's 29 degrees and the wind chill is only 17. That is really interesting because I guess it has to do with the blizzard, right? And the cold front. Harvey, welcome back. I just want to come to see if you're okay and alive. Oh, Herbie, thank you. Oh my gosh, that's so sweet of her. Damn it. I guess because of how I've been depressed. Damn it. Oh, I didn't know Harvey was here. I'm so sorry, everyone, because I think Slade is in here at the moment. I get so carried away with the weather. She's such a sweetheart for that. Man, Bulgarians are really sweet, honestly. I hope she's sleeping well because it's like, I think 1 in the morning for her. So I had a feeling that she would go back to sleep. So Dumbo, Kansas City is 12 degrees, but at midnight, they'll be at 2 degrees. Oh dear. And then 3 below 0. Oh boy. And it sucks that DC feels small, like the lack of skyscrapers when compared to other major cities in the US, right? Yeah, Dumbo, I'm a little shocked that it is getting cold because I know you live in the southeast, though. Yeah, Harvey's Bulgarian. I remembered. Oh, yeah, put the candles emoji. Those were cute. Yeah, tell me about it. I was reading up with the officer thing that I mentioned. Anyway, it was so nice for Harvey to stop by. I remember when Kansas City Chiefs had to play in snow back in 2019. Really, Dumbo? Huh, what a coincidence. So I think she probably voted for America, huh? No one voted for police. That's interesting. You know, they kind of combined it, but America, though, right?
We get a break tomorrow. We get a break Wednesday.
Wow, New Orleans is 32 degrees? Are you kidding me? Is it so weird how, like, in the Midwest, they really do? Because in the, well, yet again, Chicago's flat. So I don't know why Kansas City is so cold all of a sudden. You know, it's, gosh, Nashville 28 and 16 for the wind chill. Gosh, and this is not even far up north. I'm surprised New Mexico is much warmer. I guess it's because since we have the mountains, though, we kind of like trap more heat. But throughout the plains, since the elevation is lower, they're more exposed to like the cold front, right? I think that's why. Now, of course, the San Antonio, Houston, they're in the deep south, so of course they're not going to be affected as much, but it's still cold though. Wow, Houston though, 34 degrees. Oh my Buddha, that's freezing.
By the time we get to Thursday, that's when the storm will be coming near the Gulf, tapping some of that moisture, possibility of snow around the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It doesn't happen all that often. Oklahoma City.
It does happen.
Friday, it pushes through the Tennessee Valley, a little bit of the Ohio Valley. At this point, this looks to be light, not like this last storm. But by the time we get to a Friday and Saturday, there's a chance this could impact the East Coast again. And we're not.
Oh boy. So that means like around all of New York, at least upstate New York, because New York is not really being affected. All Virginia, Kentucky, well, Eastern Kentucky, and then like South Central West Virginia, and of course for Slade, they're gonna get some rain this week. So that makes sense. So Slade is immunity for snow, but for up north, like in the upper south, they could be affected. Yeah, I noticed, it's incredible, isn't it?
Sure yet if this would be a nor'easter or not. We'll update that later this week.
All right, we know you'll bring it. Bill Cairns, Maggie Vespa, and Gary Crump.
It's kind of funny because half of my viewers are in the East Coast, right? Double. Let's see. Slade, Matthew, he's on here much. Global, well, he lives more towards the Midwest, right? And then Brownie. It's so weird. Like, everyone is like living in the east part of the country. It's crazy, though. This guy needs to have a 60-inch television dedicated to him in every airport, truck stop, train station across the nation, right? I don't know how he does it, though. So he's studying for a meteorology degree. Oh, yeah, I can see that. So basically, this is the guy that I talked about that did such a great job, right? His name is Max Velocity because he talks about the weather storm. I don't know how he does it. It's incredible. That's why he's getting so many views all of a sudden. Because he does a good job putting on detail.
Kentucky and as well as Ohio. Overall, a lot of the snowfall is winding down this morning back over in the Midwest, but it's really ramping up right now back over in the Northeast, as well as back over in the Mid-Atlantic, including Washington, D.C., and also back into southern Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And by the way, if you have any snow reports, feel free to comment those down below. I'm definitely curious to know how much snow you saw in your location.
I do hope Brownie's all right because she did have some rain, right? When she was on a live stream with us a few days ago, because I know that she was on her car raining just to get back, right? I hope she's all right, because I guess that makes sense that there's supposed to be like a later effect, right? Because of how that it was. I don't think she said it was pouring though, but I hope that she's all right. Maryland here, we have 8 inches. Oh my goodness. The snow is light and fluffy, kind of wet, but not slushy. So better than the Weather Channel, right? I can see why people like him so much. This man's got the voice for this. Definitely should be a radio for all the trucksters. Yeah, he should. He does a good job though. Like, I'm not that confident, so that's why I keep checking on here. So Max V, Ryan Hall, or Y'all Hall are by far the most accurate sources, right? Oh my goodness! In St. Joseph, they got 14 inches, huh? We haven't had this much snow in over 3 decades. Oh my goodness. Wow. So the snow on Saturday late morning came down very quickly, and this person's from Syracuse. And in Houston, the temperature is 30 with a wind chill of 14. Oh my goodness. Wow. He does a good job, I have to say, though. He does go to detail.
After parts of the Ohio Valley, but these will progressively expire as we go throughout the day today or by tonight. Now, this winter storm is not over yet. We still have a ton of snow falling across areas like Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia, New Jersey, as well as back through Delaware, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and it's also starting to wind down back over in Illinois and Indiana. A little bit of freezing rain and sleet still falling out there, but as we get closer to lunchtime today, we are expecting the heaviest of the snowfall.
Because the thing is, if you see that's the darker the blue, the heavier it is, right? So it's so striking that the east of the country is getting all of the snow, though. It hasn't affected us.
Offshore and away from Delaware, there will still be some light to moderate snowfall out there from Kentucky back into parts of southeastern New York. Areas like Long Island and Connecticut could see some flurries to light snowfall later today. And then eventually, as we get closer to sunset tonight, there will be one more shot of light to moderate snowfall across the mid-Atlantic before eventually all of this is moving offshore as we eventually go into tonight. And in terms of additional
he edits this, I could tell.
Expecting quite a bit.
He edits, because I saw the little jump cut. That's pretty, I can see why. He must have did this ahead of time then. God, I always wanted to do the weather, but I just don't have the darn courage to do it, though. I'm surprised people, even I'm taking this serious, and I don't live in the Midwest. But hey, since it's happening my Mother's Day, of course I'm going to take a look at it. So, I was just curious. He does a good job. He does.
Winter, which means big changes are coming to the United States. The biggest controlling factor with any winter is going to be our Enzo weather pattern, which is either El Nino or La Nina. You see, last winter we had an El Nino weather pattern, which promoted much warmer and drier.
So El Nino means warmer, and the Nina means cold. Interesting. Okay, I know I learned this back in middle school. That's interesting.
The northern tier of the United States, but on the flip side of things, we had a Pacific jet stream which amplified storms across the southern tier of the United States, anywhere from California all the way back over to Texas and as well as Florida, where above average rainfall and below average temperatures were observed. But this winter is going to be completely different because we are shifting from El Nino to La Nina, which might not sound like a big difference, but it changes the complexion of the winter weather for everybody in the United States.
It's like an older video that he did on his shorts. You know, he keeps doing what he's doing. I wish I had the darn courage to do all that. You know, like I think he's making a lot of views because this is a big deal. That's why his channel went viral because, of course, us Americans, well, these are the Midwesterners and the Southeast. Well, mostly the Midwesterners and the Northeasterners, they need to know about this, right? Because it's a big deal. However, though, for us, though, we don't have to worry about going to do that because it doesn't snow here. It doesn't. So, you know what? I always feel like, why does the other country get all the crazy fun but maybe that's a good thing because it's like if you're going to a bar, yeah, it may be fun and all, and then you might be drinking, but you may end up killing your liver. You know, you may end up driving in the snow, but you're going to crash into something, right? But us Arizonans were more laid back. We were to have our little tea or brisk tea, so to speak, and it's just stagnated, you know? So I'm sorry, I just had to share this. I'm shocked. The thing is, it's just so weird that my viewers is happy to be in the in the East Coast. It's weird. I'm not complaining. I just find it so odd. Like, why are my viewers in the East Coast? There has to be a reason. There has to be a damn reason why. You know, like I thought I would get like viewers like around Darren's state, my state, maybe like in the Pacific Northwest. I'm not complaining. I just find that really fascinating, you know? So that's why I'm just seeing all of this. Also, IShowSpeed is live streaming right now. He has 68,000 people watching. Not that I care. But you know what? I'm kind of curious, you know, how many views he's getting for these streams. I'm only gonna play for like 4 seconds. What is he playing? Oh, that's the game that my brother plays. Red Dead Redemption? Yeah, my brother, I think he was still playing that game when we lived in our old house. How many views does he get on average? Oh, Buddha, he gets a lot. Oh my God. People like watching him? Wow, I'm shocked. He gets like about 6 million on average. That's a lot. Even though he has like that's still a lot. So apparently his live streams does better than his videos. That's interesting. Okay, well, that's a first. Wow, I guess people say live streaming is not good for. I guess it depends on the topic. He has one that only has 2 million views, the Christmas one, but the one that has like 8 million is playing Fortnite until we went 11 hours. Oh, that's long. I thought my live streams are long. Wow, he live streamed for 11 hours? Oh my God. Anyway, I wish I had that energy. Anyway, I was just curious. How long has he been streaming for? 8 hours? Well, that explains it. Oh my Buddha. Does he like fall asleep on the live stream or what? How can you play for 8 hours straight? I don't know if I could. I could play up for like 3 hours at a time. Jeez. Anyway, IShowSpeed is deodorant. Exactly, Darren. And fun fact, because Louisiana used to be a French colony, right? Before being sold to the U.S. by Napoleon, because they were part of what is it called? It was the Louisiana Purchase, right? I forgot what it's called exactly. The city flag and logo of New Orleans features the French symbol called Fleur de Lys, and plus New Orleans is named after the city in France, Orleans. Interesting, I knew that. And Dumbo has to go eat dinner, and that's not a problem. Well, at least he's eating dinner early, and we're down to 2 views, though. Yep, we're at the redemptions, right? Oh, you got to pick up your sister, though? But not now? No problem, Darren. So you don't want to hear right now, because I wonder where Slade is. But yeah, if I remember this correctly, in New Orleans, they do have, Darren, I think it's 2 flags. It's the Cajun French flag, and I forgot what the other one is. Do you remember what it was? No. It was the Cajun flag and then the other one, right? The gorgeous flags. I would love to buy myself one of those. I don't remember the name, though. He occasionally does a sleep stream where his crazy viewers wakes him up by playing memes that were usually offensive. Really? Yep, that's for views, right? I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. I am not surprised. I'm not surprised, Darren. Let the man rest once. True. True. Yeah. Oh, only watch Storm Chasers? That's interesting. So I guess it's only you right now. And Darren, sorry for being so quiet. See, that's why I get a little bit awkward, because like when the live stream gets really quiet, I'm not really good at continuing to talk. I'm so bad at this. Friends be like, what is it? Roost? Wait, is that a rooster? French bread, French frying, and frog. Oh yeah, that's free. I forgot to eat frogs. I'm not sure what the rooster one means though, but yeah, they do eat frogs. Actually, wait, Darren, hold on. They eat. I'm sorry. This really they actually eat it's called escargot. I think escargot means snail. Yeah, there we go. Le means yeah. You know how you say we? You say le. You know, I thought it could learn something new because I'll watch a handful of French YouTubers, right? And they talk like that. It's so cute. I do not know why. Oh, speaking of le, you know what's depressing? So this guy, right, the prankster that I despise, he has 1 million views in just 8 days. The David Uploads guy. It sucks that I didn't got much views on it, but a lot of people are liking the crap that he's doing, so to speak. So I'm shocked. He got just about 1 million, right? And he had 400 and how many subscribers did I mention? Oh dear Buddha, that's bad. He had 428,000 subscribers, right? And now he has 482,000. Oh boy. Oh, tell me about it, David. Tell me about it. How on earth did he get that many subscribers? That's 38, 48, 58, 68, 78. He gained 54K over harassing people. That bothers me. And I can barely get like 10 views if I'm lucky. And yeah, people tell me that I might be a little bit slow. Well, I'm not. That's how I do my videos. That shouldn't be a crime. Like, yeah, I know you don't like it, but man, like, no wonder us introverts are so timid. You know what? Speaking of being an American, I'm just gonna look up being an introvert. It was nice to talk about the weather earlier. Like, I love extroverts. My best friend growing up was one of them. Right, Joshua? Oh my goodness. But man, it sucks being oh, I want to see this.
This test will see if you're an introvert. So I'm about to show you 4 sequences and you'll have 5 seconds.
I love this channel, Samputa.
So first up, find a croissant.
I see it.
This is the toughest. So if you get this, then
oh,
you're probably smooth sailing.
It's
Now you
easy.
have to find a parachute.
A parachute.
And by the way, I think the logic behind this is that introverts look within, so they're more likely to find the objects.
Yeah, I found a
now
parachute.
find a snail. This one's probably the easiest.
The snail's in the bottom third, right? Third for the left. A button.
3 seconds.
The fourth for the 4th,
1.
6 and 7 for the.
You got more than half. This girl claims that.
Yeah, I got more than half.
This test will see if you're an.
I love his channel. Yep, I'm an introvert. Does it really make someone an introvert though? Huh. As the extrovert, I found them all. It's not even an introvert test. Right. It's perceptiveness. Right. But yeah, I understand why channels like that would get so much viewers though. And Darren, I don't know. However, though, he has not uploaded yet. I wouldn't be surprised if he does later on though. You know, I'm not sure if he's still in your state. You know, however. But hope to Buddha that he isn't. I've heard that he's been banned on Walmart, so he may not be in your state anymore, but I don't know. If introverts were in thriller movies.
Walmart Plus in home. I got this wow skin from.
Okay, there we go. Oh, this is a Spitter Way. I did this a lot. We ignored the phone call. I did it a lot. Not just because of my foot anxiety, but I don't like when people have to call me in certain periods. Yeah, we are more likely to survive a psychopath. And the extroverts are going to beat up the psychopath. I can see that. This is such a cool video, though. So most introverts will pick up phone calls no matter what. They just ignored it and chat the person later. Yep, pretty much. Wait, she did this by herself? You serious? Damn, she's good. Oh, I see it. And she's good. She had all this by herself, and she's creative. Oh my goodness. So, you know what? I just had to say, as being an American, right? It does suck to be an introvert. Like, this is like a nationwide thing because a lot of people, at least there's from a video that I've watched, Darren, if you're still here, is that they tend to be more like, I mean, extroverts are amazing people. Like, we need them, right? They might, uh-oh. I think the live stream froze again. Oh, no. Yep, the time froze. No wonder you didn't type in. It says 4020. Well, if that's the case, I'm going to switch over to the new window. I'm going to just, let's see, down you. I don't know when I, let's see. So, wait, 56, 526. I did a live stream would catch up. Okay, so the thing is, what is like the downside of being like an introvert in the U.S. is that a lot of people tend to basically praise for the ones who are more extroverted because they're more expressive, they're more vocal, and they kind of like I don't know how to explain it. They are managed to solve situations better than us introverts do because us introverts, you know, we could do the same, right? It's just not as common because of how we tend to be like more quiet. Oh, you're listening? That's good. And you can see the time set? Great. Okay, your message popped up. I don't have to switch over. The thing is, growing up, Darren, as being an introvert, right? Like, see all these channels that do really well and they are so vocal about it. The downside is that I think it makes because my channel is still unknown. That's probably why that I get stuck on bringing topics because people don't like to hear my voice. It's so draining. And Dumbo, you didn't miss anything actually. We're just talking about being an introvert. The downside is when it comes to being an introvert, like you would have your energy drained when you're around other people for a long period of time. Like for me personally, I feel like I'm gonna fall asleep because I'm so used to being so independent and alone that when I'm a group of people for basically 10 minutes, I gotta go. You know, it's like that, right? And I would get so much energy being alone that I do sometimes envy. Yet, get jobs of these channels that do such an amazing jobs at, you know, just doing like their fun skits. I mean, I guess this girl's an introvert, but she doesn't seem like one. You know, she is. She's good at it, right? Like for me, growing up, I was always the quiet type. And it's hard for me to like socialize with people because I tend to not being around other people as much. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about here. And I guess with my lack of social skills, it's really difficult just to like interact, right? Because people does such a great job, you know, interacting with one another that for me personally, whenever I try to have conversations with people, they would just leave or they just don't want to get to know me more. So that's why like my social skills is so behind that it's like as though I'm reading at, let's just say, well, no, there are 8th graders that are way more social than I am. I feel like I'm a kindergartner. Like, I don't know how to speak well. Well, I'm talking to like 3rd graders and they're being really social, right? Like, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing. if that actually makes sense. And you try to eat dinner all done, but you don't have to rush to eat your dinner. And you're pretty introverted. I'm not. I could see that you are, honestly. But I thought I could actually just share that. And also, like how, like let's just say I shall speak, for example, right? I cannot see myself talking for 11 hours straight. I probably won't be able to talk more than a half hour or 44 minutes, right? Because, well, maybe it's because I got a lack of viewership. That's probably why. You know, of course, I can be quiet because I know how much to say. And, you know, with being an introvert and all, it's really difficult because I'm the quiet type. And I always feel guilty being an introvert sometimes because I feel that extroverts are superior people, even though they're not. Because the downside is for them, they need people to socialize, but I don't. You know, it doesn't mean that we're antisocial. It's just that we get drained when we talk to around people for so long. Also, I did have another weird dream, but I forgot what it was. Oh, it was about my youngest cousin, the one that molested me, right? And I think I was arguing with my mother or something because I felt like I wasn't being heard. Oh boy, that was a weird dream I had. I guess in that it kind of like refers to people that would harass me online and I didn't get the help I needed. Yep, I had that dream. I can't believe I forgot. I can't believe I remember what it was just now. And Matthew, hey, welcome. So Matthew, you're I believe that you're getting snow, right? I actually looked up the weather, at least from this channel named Max Velocity, that dropped in the Northeast. You're supposed to have like a little blizzard that might be coming in this week because in Brownie, that doesn't live too far from you, they're supposed to get some snow, if I recall, right? I forgot already because I was watching it at the beginning of the live stream. But I know that in your state, though, you may get like, I don't think a blizzard, though, but you'll probably get a few snow showers, maybe. So, how you been doing? Fine. Oh, you're feeding your pet. Blizzard, right? Yeah. Yeah, I remember you told us about that. And same here, Dion. I usually don't socialize with people in middle high school. I'm so glad I'm not the only one, Darren. I'm so glad I'm not the only one. I'm so glad. You know what? Speaking of personality test, my favorite channel, or one of them, the Evaluator, he uploaded every personality type in 17 minutes. I'd like to share this with you three.
The self. So, in the Jungian world of archetypes, the self is like the CEO of your psyche, or maybe the wise monarch who oversees the chaos of the kingdom. It represents the totality of who you are and the ultimate integration of your
about
consciousness,
Z. I saw
which
that.
is the part of you that's aware of what's going on, and your unconscious, the part of you that hides your embarrassing middle school memories and weird dreams. You can think of the self as your psyche's dream home and the place where every part of you gets to hang out, chill, and coexist peacefully. The ultimate goal of the self is harmony. It's like your inner Switzerland, neutral, balanced, and ridiculous.
I love the music he uses.
However, you don't really start your life and have the self fully formed. It's like building a beautiful sandcastle. It takes time, effort, and maybe a few failed attempts before it really comes together. In fact, Jung called this process individuation, which is a fancy term for getting your inner act together. Basically, if you finally find yourself and let it take charge, life in general would feel more balanced because you'll not be overly influenced by any other archetype. Which means you'll know how to be confident without being arrogant, assertive without being aggressive, and vulnerable without feeling like you're about to crumble like a stale cookie. The shadow. So just imagine that you've been standing in line for your favorite cup of coffee when somebody just cuts the line in front of you, steps on your toes while doing this, and doesn't even have the decency to apologize. Normally, you'd expect to feel anger and even rage towards the person, and might even give the person a piece of your mind. But instead, you smile through your anger and just continue to wait. Now, you see that surge of rage and mental verbal abuse is basically your shadow seeping through. Basically, the shadow is like the closet in your mental
So
house
intrusive
where you
thoughts,
shove all
right?
the emotions, thoughts, and impulses you don't want people to see. So we're talking jealousy, anger, selfishness.
Yep,
and
that's
maybe
my
your
shadow.
secret obsession with reality TV. The shadow always starts from the little things, and before you know it, it's a full-on psychological junk drawer. Maybe when you were a kid, you were told, good boys and girls don't get angry, so you shoved anger into the shadow. Later, you learned, don't be selfish, so into the shadow went your desire to hog the last slice of pizza. But just like any junk drawer, the shadow doesn't stay hidden forever and spills out when you least expect it. Like when you yell at your dog for barking at the mailman. Meanwhile, the poor thing was just doing its job. Now, most people tend to ignore their shadows because they think it's bad. But then ignoring it doesn't make it go away. It just gives it more power.
That's true.
It's like that horror movie trope where the monster only gets stronger when you pretend it's not there.
Yep.
And honestly, no one wants to be haunted by their own emotional Godzilla.
I do, Darren.
The shadow isn't this
How you
big
know?
bad villain of your inner psyche, but
Mm-hmm,
actually
Dumbo.
also holds your untapped potential. Qualities you buried because you thought they weren't acceptable. Maybe you're fiercely competitive, but were always taught to play nice. That buried competitiveness could make you an unstoppable entrepreneur if you're willing to embrace it. The anima or animus.
What the hell is
So
that?
let's say you're at a salon trying to get your regular, boring, black, straight cut done when you suddenly hear a little voice urging you to live a little by going blonde with pink highlights. But then, just as you're about to indulge, you hear another voice questioning this spontaneous change and reminding you that you should stick to what you know, which is black. Now, you might be a little confused and would probably start wondering if you're slowly losing your mind. However, it's just your anima or animus having their say. You see, in Carl Jung's world, which, let's be honest, is like an ancient Greek mythology soap opera, the anima is the feminine aspect of your psyche, and the animus is the masculine aspect of the psyche. It's basically like your internal yin and yang that represent the opposite qualities of your gendered conscious self. Basically, if your mind were a movie, the anima and animus would be that mysterious supporting character who pops in with cryptic advice and tells you to trust your feelings or to stop being too emotional. In the man's psyche, the anima might embody traits like sensitivity, intuition, and creativity, qualities society often labels as feminine. While the animus in a woman's psyche brings traits
Masculine.
like assertiveness, logic, and strength. Again, qualities often mislabeled as masculine. The persona. The persona is basically like the Instagram filter of your psyche designed solely for public consumption. Now, understand that it is not necessarily fake, but it's just a curated version of yourself to navigate.
Anima animus, yep. I know because you always didn't mean to lash out. Yes, true, Darren, exactly. Exactly. You know, that's why I'm trying to get jobs two times sometimes. Even though I bring that up a lot of my live streams, is because I always feel that with the lack of equipment I have as a YouTuber, I always feel guilty that I'm not doing much. Like, oh, you know what? Like the Max Velocity guy. His videos are so good, but to get people like, oh, he needs to have his weather videos shared at every airport. Like, I can't imagine that. But the thing is, what I do feel guilty of being an introvert, sometimes I feel like my voice cannot get heard much because people don't want to give me the opportunity. And they tend to just basically go away and watch someone else because people may be rude towards me for no apparent reason. And I feel guilty just because of my personality that it's not as lovable as other people, though. Even though for the Max guy, maybe his only specialty is the weather. Maybe my specialty is geography, right? Not just the weather, but talk about countries, country flags, or basically mental health related topics, something like that, maybe. Even though the weather will have more impact on mental health, even though the weather can include mental health, right? It's something like that, I think. I'll be back. I had to get a handful of Doritos. Sorry about that. Anyway, no, that's okay. The crickets were dead, so I put them in a container next to a heater to warm them up and they're alive now. Wait, how they're alive, Matthew? Wait, how they're alive? I'm curious how that works when you feed your lizard. And W coming got blocked? See, I got a handful of Doritos here.
Is shiny, polished, and put together, even though your inner self may be a messy goblin eating cold pizza at 3 a.m. Basically, your persona would help you adapt and adjust to the occasion no matter what. It helps you fit in, make connections, and basically look normal, as humans are social creatures. However, while it is true that the persona is very useful, it is also a two-edged sword and can be quite sneaky. Because technically, if you wear the mask too long, you might forget what your real face looks like.
That's true.
You start to believe the fake identity you've created, and that's when things can get dicey. Apparently, according to Carl Jung, over-identifying with this persona can create a problem called crisis of authenticity. For example, let's say you're the funny one in your group of friends. It's your persona, your niche. But what happens when you're having a bad day? If your persona has taken over, you might feel pressured to crack jokes when all you really want to do is sit in sweatpants and cry into a bowl of ice cream. That's the dark side of the persona. It's great for parties, but terrible at dealing with emotions. But the good news is that you can handle your persona by thinking of it as a tool and not your entire identity. Basically like a pair of sunglasses. Helpful when you need them, but ridiculous to wear at night.
Of course.
The ego.
Oh,
So
here we
let's
go.
Imagine you're the captain of a ship sailing through life's stormy seas. The waves are your emotions. The wind is your instincts, and the stars are your dreams. But at the wheel, there's the ego, aka the self-appointed captain of your psyche. You see, the ego is the part of you that tries to keep everything together no matter the situation. The ego first got its big break when Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, introduced it as part of his psychic apparatus trio, the id, ego, and superego. Now, the id is like the toddler of your psyche. The ego is highly impatient and all about instant gratification, while the superego is like a strict librarian that's stern and ready to shush any form of indulgence.
That's true.
However, the ego here is like the relatable older sibling who keeps the peace.
Right.
It's the voice in your head that navigates between your inner wild child, aka the id, and your overly critical parent, the superego. Think of it as your personal public relations team constantly editing your thoughts and giving you reasons to not do shameful things. It listens to the
Farting,
id,
hilarious.
desires, and the superego, which is your moral compass, and tries to come up with a compromise for the situation. At the end of the day, the ego's main goal is self-preservation, which is to keep you safe and functioning. But then things can get a little difficult for your entire identity if you let the ego get a little too big or in control. Because when this happens, it can lead to arrogance, selfishness, or an inflated sense of self-worth.
That's true.
Suddenly, the captain of your mental ship isn't just steering, it's declaring itself the king of the ocean. The mentor or sage. At its core, the mentor or sage archetype represents wisdom, guidance, and experience. This is the character who has been there, done that, got the robe, and is now ready to pass on their hard-earned knowledge to the next generation. They're the Yodas, the Dumbledores, the Mr. Miyagis of the world. Basically, the human equivalent of a walking TED Talk minus the PowerPoint presentations. But don't mistake them for a know-it-all, because mentors don't just...
Wow. It's so funny he makes it like the Asian stereotype because therein, I know this is like a stereotype, right? Like Chinese are known for having really slanted eyes. And I don't know why. Like you think about South Park, right? Like they're known for having like buck teeth. I don't know where that stereotype came from.
Use solutions on a silver platter. That'd be too easy. Instead, they nudge you in the right direction with cryptic phrases to help you find the answer yourself. It's like there's Google, but with less straight answers and more existential questions. So, I guess, like Google's AI search results. Basically, in psychology, the mentor's main goal is to prepare the hero, which is you, for the journey ahead. They use all the years of experience and are the first ones to see the talent or greatness waiting to be unleashed. Now, this mentor archetype can manifest in different ways all around you. A teacher who inspired you, a parent who guided you, or even that random friend who always seems to know the best advice for fixing your Wi-Fi are all versions of the sage. And they are proof that even in the most chaotic of adventures, there's always someone who's got your back. The trickster. So it's Monday morning at work and everything's going fine. Then your coworker Dave suddenly swaps all the desktop icons on your computer into a folder labeled Do Not Open, which is very annoying to you. But when you finally figure it out, you can't help but laugh and maybe even appreciate how clever it was. That's the trickster archetype. Annoying.
Let's see. Lover. I want to see I saw emo, right? There is emo on here, right? That got my attention. I thought that was emo. No? Destroyer, magician.
If you've ever met one of those people that never seems to run out of ideas, or they just have a way with people and words, then you've probably met someone who knows how to use the magician archetype.
Hush,
To
mamas!
understand the magician's psyche, you can simply think of them as the ultimate transformer. No, not the kind that turns into a car, but the one in your mind that takes ordinary life and gives it that extra sparkle. Basically, the magician archetype is the visionary part of us that sees the world not just as it is, but as it could be. They're like your creative best friend who sees potential in everything, even your burnt pancakes. In psychological terms, the magician embodies knowledge, creativity, and transformation. They bridge the logical and the mystical, taking big ideas and turning them into reality. You see, the magicians are visionaries. They don't just see a problem, they see 50 ways to fix it, 3 ways to make it better, and maybe 1 way to make it viral on social media. They're also great problem solvers and lifelong learners. These guys thrive on gathering knowledge, from practical skills like fixing a leaky faucet to fun facts like how octopuses have 3 hearts. At the end of the day, this archetype is what inspires.
I didn't do that.
It gives you the courage to dream big and make it happen no matter what.
Wow, they have 3 hearts? What? I wonder that's why Zoriberg said that he had like I got 4 of them. Wait, damn, let's see. Lobsters must have 5 hearts. And octopuses have 3. Interesting. Yeah. I guess they froze, but they're alive now. Right. And they got 2 coat for them. Right. Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting, Matthew, how that works when you have to feed a lizard. The worst death caused by animals. Ooh, that one sounds interesting. I see Steve Irwin. I already saw the personality disorder type. I love this channel. Did I see another one I haven't seen yet? I know we're talking about America, right? But I can only talk about it for so long. Because I don't want to burn myself out like I'm going to go into a car crash, you know, in snowy conditions. No, sleety conditions, so to speak. I love this channel, though. I love his animations. They're so cute. It's a shame he doesn't get that many views for some of them. Did I saw that? Yeah, the superpowers. That was a good one. Every worst way to die. I did saw the brain disorder. Every generation explained. Did I saw that? No, I did not. Okay, let's see what this one's about then.
The Lost Generation. 1883 to 1900. If you were born into this generation, you'd literally be celebrating your 17th birthday in front of the trenches, huddled down with mud covering your entire body as bombs and missiles fly across your head. Well, sadly, it was during this era that the nightmare and horror of World War I was in full swing, and everybody experienced the trauma and death that came with it. A whopping total of 8.5 million people lost their lives in this war, and another 1 million went home with irreparable injuries.
Are you
As if growing up and
serious?
losing all your friends and family in a war wasn't enough torture, they were once again hit with the Spanish flu pandemic of
Yep,
1918
I heard.
that killed over 50 million people.
Basically, the Spanish flu, it's like the, oh God, 1918. Isn't that a weird number right there? Basically, Spanish flu is like the first coronavirus, right? Because it affected so badly that, oh Buddha, 50 million people died. I forgot where it happened. I think it was out here, right? No, wait. Yeah, I think it was. No, damn it. I forgot where the Spanish flu basically took place, but I remember reading about it.
Worldwide. Honestly, it was like a morbid game of death, and one thing was bound to kill you. And all these constant L's threw this generation into the early beginnings of the Great Depression, which consisted of a high rate of unemployment, insane abject poverty, and a general sense of hopelessness. These guys were called lost, not because they couldn't find their way home after a wild night out, but because
it lost
after everything
population.
they went through, lost was the perfect way to describe them. Well, nobody can blame them for calling themselves a lost generation, honestly. However, a lot of good still came from these guys. They were still able to reach within themselves and come up with people who made significant contributions to the world. Well, they have Albert Einstein, who developed the theory of relativity.
Hush, mamas!
Alexander Fleming, who discovered penicillin, who was also born during this time. The greatest generation, 1901 to 1927. Have you ever seen a movie with the whole storyline based on the after effects of war? You know how there would always be an economic crisis and collapse, and everybody that survived would literally be moving around confused and lost while trying to make sense of what is left of the world? Well, this is exactly what the greatest generation experienced throughout their time. Now, after World War I, the entire world was thrown into something called the Great Depression. And if you think what the world is going through now is bad, just wait till you hear how crazy it was for these guys. The Great Depression began with the stock market crash in October 1929, which wiped out millions of investors. You see, the entire economy took a nosedive faster than a seagull spotting a dropped hot dog at the beach. The unemployment rate was as high as 25%, and a total of 12,830,000 people were unemployed, which led to people losing their savings, homes, and widespread poverty and homelessness. And just when they thought life couldn't get any more depressing, they were hit with World War II. It was like the universe.
So World War II happened around this time, huh?
Hey, you know what would spice things up? Another world war. And sadly, young men were once again trading their dancing shoes for combat boots. This particular war was way worse than the previous one and claimed the lives of over 60 million people. Till today, it is known in history as the deadliest international conflict ever known to mankind. This was also the period that the Nazis decided that they were superior beings and killed over 6 million Jews during the Holocaust. After the horror of the war, people who survived came back with a renewed appreciation for peace, democracy, and love after having witnessed the worst in humanity. They started rebuilding the economy once again with Alan Turing, who pioneered computer science and artificial intelligence, and Grace Hopper, who developed the first compiler for computer programming language, because of which today you are technically able to watch videos on my channel. The Silent Generation.
Okay, World War II starts. Okay.
Have you ever wondered why your grandparent is such a strict,
wait, that's afterwards,
no-nonsense man? Well, it might just be because they grew up as...
It's so calling your room, Dumbo. I don't blame you. You heard about the Spanish flu, Dumbo? Right.
The Silent Generation, where the after effects of World War II and the Great Depression shaped their entire lives. If you grew up in this period, you didn't just talk the talk, you would also walk the walk. Even in the rain, in the sun, or in the snow, without complaining. Or if you did complain, you did it very quietly. You were born in an era that survived the worst economic downturn, so you were basically the people tasked with making the world better again. Imagine being in school and worrying more about rationing than recess. These guys didn't get to live or experience their childhoods to the fullest because they had to grow up so fast, learn to take responsibility, be frugal, and work hard out of necessity. You didn't do it because you felt like it. You did the work because you had to survive. This is why most people from this generation are super hardworking, strict, and very old-fashioned. You could say they were into vintage before hipsters made it a thing. They became called the silent generation not because they were mute, but because they were modest and didn't whine or complain about anything. While modern social media encourages us to share every meal and mood, the silent generation would have probably seen a post about avocado toast and said, "Back in my day, we were lucky to have toast." Baby boomers, 1946 to 1964.
So my grandmother's era.
The baby boomer generation began in the aftermath of World War II when soldiers returned home, love was in the air, and the young couples were working overtime in the bedroom. This generation is called the baby boomers because they were born in a period that saw an unprecedented number of births. It was like they took the passage from the Bible where God said, "Go forth and multiply," a little too seriously. It felt like someone flipped a switch from war to peace and then to procreate. Hospitals were busy, nurseries were full, and the sound of cooing babies was the new national anthem. The baby boomers grew up during a time of great change and optimism. The economy was booming, much like the population, and houses were being built faster than you could say white picket fence. This generation saw the rise of rock and roll with Elvis Presley shaking things up on TV, just like we have TikTok challenges now. If you were a boomer, your childhood likely involved playing outside until the street.
Toyotathon is still on. Now's the perfect time to recharge with a new Toyota.
I'm taking a RAV4 hybrid hiking.
Sounds
Till the street lights came on, riding bikes without helmets, and watching TV shows like Leave It to Beaver and I Love Lucy.
Yep, I watched both of those. Those are classics.
They're optimists. They grew up believing they could change the world, and in many ways, they did. They questioned authority, protested the Vietnam War, were at the forefront of the women's liberation movement, and fought for civil rights. They were like the superheroes of social change, minus the capes. Generation X,
My mother's generation.
1980.
Huh.
Let's start with their names. Generation X. It sounds like a superhero team, right? But unlike the X-Men, these Xers don't have superpowers, unless you count their ability to survive without the internet and
Hush, mamas.
their childhood as a superpower, which, let's be honest, it kind of is. Generation.
Why does it say one view? So my grandpa would say back in my day, right? That's funny, Dumbo, isn't it? But it's quite a coincidence. And it's weird how older generations are cold. The lost silent, yet the new ones are just. I know, it's really weird, isn't it, Dumbo? I think my mother's supposed to be back home soon now. Hush, Bella.
X are the ones who grew up with MTV, the original Star Wars trilogy, and the ever-present threat of nuclear annihilation. In short, they were the guinea pigs for modern pop culture and the end of the Cold War. One of the greatest traits of this generation was their independence. They're often called the latchkey kids because many of them came home to empty houses after school because their parents were busy working.
Yep, this is accurate. My mother, she basically had to do a lot of stuff her own at a young age. This is accurate.
And that's self-reliant and adaptable. These guys entered the workforce during an economic downturn and are known for their resourcefulness and resilience. They witnessed the rise of the corporate ladder, but were also the first to truly embrace the concept of work-life balance. They're the generation that said, wait a minute, there's more to life than just work? And then promptly invented casual Fridays and telecommuting. They worked hard and played harder, often simultaneously, and were honestly the original side hustlers, juggling multiple jobs and gigs before it was seen as cool. This generation gave us men like Bill Gates, who's the co-founder of Microsoft, Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple, and Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon. Basically, Gen Xers were the cool aunt or uncle of generations. They're old enough to remember life before smartphones, but young enough to explain memes to their parents. They've weathered economic ups and downs, technological revolutions, and the entire evolution of video game consoles. Millennials, 1980.
Well, I'm one of them. Even though I was born late, though, but yeah, it's like I was born in 1978, which is Generation X, right? So I'm more like a zillennial, so to speak.
1 to 1996. AKA Generation Y, AKA the digital natives. These are the people who were born during the rise of the internet, smartphones, and social media. If you were born during this time, then you can be comfortably called a master of adaptability because you've legit lived through it all. From dial-up internet, flip phones, and smartphones, and you're probably still waiting for those promised flying cars. They're like the Swiss Army knives of generations. Versatile, handy, and always ready for the next big thing. Millennials are also...
That's true, because when I was in high school, I did have a flip phone, though. It was a Verizon flip phone, but I wanted to get a smartphone because I saw my other classmates having one, and I worked my butt off just to get it, right? Because when I used to first get paid on YouTube, I basically did make a deal with my mother, or let's just say make a plan that if I get enough money, then I would be responsible for paying my own phone bill, which is what I did, and giving her half of my earnings. So I did that throughout this period.
Be educated because their parents often encouraged them to enter college. Unfortunately, they entered the job market during or just after the Great Recession, which is about as fun as it sounds. This led to them being labeled as lazy or entitled, when in reality, they were just trying to pay off student loans larger than the GDP of small countries. Millennials have also been accused of killing the housing market. But let's be real, the only thing they're killing is the idea that you need to own a home to be successful. They're more interested in collecting experiences than possessions, which explains why their Instagram feeds are full of travel photos and not pictures of lawns they've mowed. Technologically, millennials are the Goldilocks generation. Not too old, not too young, but just right. They're the generation that can explain to their parents how to use Facebook while simultaneously asking their younger siblings to explain what Snapchat filters do.
I don't know what they do. This is accurate. Why do people use Snapchat filters? Why is it called a streak? Whatever the hell it is. Why is it so important? I don't get it. You know, I think filters are dumb. So this is accurate. I know how to use Facebook. I mean, for crying out loud, I basically had to log in again. Like, well, at least on my YouTube channel. And I was actually able to get back on Instagram. I got lucky. I guess there must have been like some Wi-Fi issues throughout my city, because we basically, they have the map of what cities are basically down on the site. So apparently my city was one of them. While for Darren's, it is down, but like in Chicago, it's doing fine. So that's probably why I can't get on Instagram until late.
At the end of the day, millennials are a generation of adaptation that has navigated the shift from analog to digital, from stable careers to the gig economy, and from traditional values to progressive ideals. They're like,
I like he has a religion, and that's cute. What's the one that looks like a star? That's interesting. See, if I could name down Christianity, Hinduism, I'm not sure what that green one was. Sikhism, I'm not sure what that one is either. Damn, what is it? It's what's the word? It's called Jewish, right? I'm so dumb. I mean, that's one of the words. Judaism, pardon me. I'm not sure which one that is. And Islam. How did I know what the other three is? And here's both of yours.
Chameleons blending into the ever-changing landscape with humor, resilience, and a smartphone in hand. Generation Z, 1997 to 2012.
So basically that's up to what? 12-year-olds? Technically 13.
Imagine a generation that literally grew up with smartphones in their cribs and Wi-Fi in their playpens. Known as Gen Z, this generation is the original digital gurus and has created and seen more memes than any other generation. If you are Gen Z, then you can probably communicate more effectively in emojis than in words. This generation is so tech-savvy to the core that if you handed them a rotary phone or flip phone, they would probably stare at it like it's an alien artifact because they grew up in an age where touchscreens, voice assistants, and 24/7 internet connection were the norm. Gen Zs have never known a world without Google, which is simply like having a tiny professor living in your pocket.
I mean, I've used Google since I was a child, though. Google came out in 98. I was 3 when Google came out. Like, I grew up with Google myself. So that's a little interesting how he says it like this.
Except this one doesn't give pop quizzes or boring lectures. For Gen Z, research means scrolling through Instagram, and library is just a fancy word for that place with free Wi-Fi. Social media is a way of life to this generation because they live and breathe platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, and whatever the new app is trending this week. However, this isn't what this generation is all about. Gen Zs are actually a very socially conscious and intelligent bunch, because they really care about climate change, social justice, mental health, and animal safety. This generation
Animal
of kids
safety,
is tackling
really?
big issues with the same fervor they use to tackle COD opponents. They have an ability to multitask and look for the easiest ways possible to get the work done, which makes them very resourceful.
So basically, Darren, at the Star of David represents Judaism, right? And you never use Snapchat, Dumbo? Trust me, I barely use it myself, so you're not the only one. And yep, Generation Z, 97 to just 12. So that's both of yours generations. Don't worry, your generation's pretty good, actually. This is pretty accurate. I'm surprised that you really care that much about animals. It's pretty true, actually. Hush, mamas! A very small percentage of Generation Z had phones and cribs and Wi-Fi connection. Most of us grew up like Generation X and millennials. That's true, though. Hush, mamas! This is more like an American thing. At least what one of the comments that mentioned. All right, here's the last one.
And productive. Generation Alpha, 2013 to 2020.
Bella, hush! Sorry.
5. These little tykes are the first generation to be born entirely in the 21st century. Talk about starting life with a clean slate.
Wait, what? Oh, so wait, is this the last year for Generation Alpha? Yeah, that could be right. What? That's a 12-year gap? That can't be right. Wait, Generation Z is 15, and my generation is 15. 15. Baby boomers is 19. Interesting. So what's after Generation Alpha then? Oh, yeah, that's right. It's beta. Is it beta? I didn't know Generation... What?
To 2025. These little tykes are the first generation to be born entirely in the 21st century. Talk about starting life with a clean slate, or rather, a clean touchscreen. They are set to inherit a world where AI, virtual reality, and smart everything are the norm. These kids don't just use tech, they wear it, eat with it, and probably dream in binary code. For Generation Alpha, technology isn't just a tool, it's an extension of themselves. While you might have to learn how to use a smartphone, these kids are practically coding in their cribs. Their toys are smart, their games are interactive, and their classrooms are virtual. Gen Alpha practically came out of the womb swiping and tapping. It's as if
Not
their
really.
first words were, "Hey Siri," instead of "Mama" or "Daddy."
Stupid.
So
I don't believe that.
They probably hack into your smart fridge before they learn to tie their shoes. They're likely to be even more eco-conscious and socially aware than their predecessors, driven by the challenges they see around them. They are going to revolutionize, well, everything. They're the AI-assisted, VR-enhanced, planet-saving superheroes we've been waiting for. Futuristic New Age generation. Imagine a generation of kids growing up in a world where traffic jam means a bunch of flying cars stuck behind a flock of confused geese. These kids would be asking the constant annoying, "Are we there yet?" while soaring over city skyline. There would also be things like personalized jetpacks, which would literally become the new bicycle. Commuters will zip between skyscrapers, dotting holographic billboards and automated delivery drones. I mean, rush hour would basically look like a chia tick baller of human fireflies. These future kids won't have their heads stuck on their phones or in the clouds because there will be Neuralink by this time. If you forgot to study for a test, then there's no need to panic. All you need to do is download the information straight into your brain. Schools would even offer thought loading sessions where students can absorb entire subjects in minutes. Beware though, because daydreaming in class might accidentally broadcast your crush to the entire school. With Neuralink, language barriers would also be ancient history. If you're lucky enough, someone might even decide the language of animals' language. so you can finally know what your cat really thinks of you. This generation would also witness a time when humans would develop colonies on Mars, which would be an exciting mix.
So, like around 2044, maybe? I'm not sure. Wait, who knows? Anyway.
Age-old problems. Some kids born there would even view Earth's blue skies and vast oceans.
Wait, no, DNA, right? That'd be 2025 and beyond, right? I think. Ugh.
As exotic travel destinations. Long-distance relationships would take on a whole new meaning when your boyfriend literally lives on another planet.
No, not that soon.
This era with a mix of
No, that'll probably take like a couple dozen years. Not that soon.
amusement and awe, just like you view the early days of computing and aviation. Things would be so different and yet so much more amazing. Who knows? Humanity might even visit the stars soon.
Well, I'm not sure if we can even land on stars, though. This is such a cool video. Yep, Generation Beta. He must have not mentioned Beta. Right. It's because of the present year, right? Yeah, animal safety, mental health, global warming, and social justice, right? And your generation doesn't feel well, Dumbbell. And that's weird, isn't it? You know what's odd? I think I can relate to both of your generation than mine. I'm not sure, though, because you're Zers, right? And maybe it's because since I was born close to your generation, that's probably why. Someone says here, as a 98 Generation Z, it's hard to believe that person's only 3 years younger than me. I had a flip phone. Yep, same here. My first phone ever, and also phones with more buttons. Yep, we didn't have the internet for a long time. Yep, I was a library member in elementary, middle school. And by the way, just because we understand these new apps and gadgets faster, it doesn't mean we were born with tablets in our hands. Exactly. That is still the freaking Generation Alpha, at least later Generation Z, but not all of us. Yep, that's pretty accurate. Like, Darren and Dumbbell, I have a really interesting question to ask you both. What do you despise most about your generation? Even though I can really relate, like, I want to hear what your thoughts are. It's kind of from a millennial, but I can relate to your generation more, though. I don't know why. It's kind of weird that Generation Z is how old again? 2000 and up to like teenagers, right? Your dad has a foot. Really, Dumbo? That's awesome. Really. Oh, no problem, Darren. Take all the time you need. Hush, Bella.
Great oxygenation
Oh, that's sweet of Darren to share that. I think I'll find another channel.
event. So 2.4 billion years ago, you were a carefree anaerobic organism. You didn't need any oxygen, which was great because the world was a strict no O2 zone. The air was filled with several gases like methane, carbon dioxide, and water vapor, but there was no free oxygen at all. Until one day, a bacterium called cyanobacteria became the first organism in history to perform photosynthesis, which produced oxygen as a byproduct. And boy, did they produce a lot of oxygen. So much, in fact, that it became one of the most common gases on the planet, even replacing a lot of the methane. Now, this was a big problem for you and all the other anaerobic organisms living back.
I like his commentary.
Highly toxic.
So his name is the Brainier? That's cute. Oh, sucks he's not getting much views, though. He works so hard. See, he has more subs than I do, but he's not getting much views. He has 266 subscribers, and I see the one of that's titled "Every Deadly Animal Encounter in 13 Minutes" only got 43. That sucks. And I think these donos are really creative. Damn, YouTube is hard. Ooh, every deadliest bacteria. You know what? His name is the Brainier. Huh. It just sucks he doesn't get much views, though. I thought these are pretty interesting. Where's that video at? Deadliest bacteria. I'm curious for that.
Tularemia, F. tularensis. Now,
so there's some things I don't like about my generation, and some of your comments are going through, like how they can like brainwash shit on the internet, right? And the same thing for Alpha. I agree with that because apparently you got to be like really energetic and like I know that people want to get straight to the point, but some people just can't, you know. And it's like you get punished just because you just don't talk really quick. Some people, like me, prefer YouTubers that just takes their time to talk. You know, and I don't know. I'm not gonna say that those human beings are awful for that, but I don't know. I just don't like certain videos that tend to be like a little loud. Like I know it's gonna take a long time for my channel to get viewed because people are really picky. And I'm doing the best I can, and some people, they're just a little self-centered that, oh, yeah, you got to do this. Well, you can do what you're doing. Let me focus on what I'm doing. You know, something like that. You know, we all have basically, you know, different personalities.
you've just got home from your hike. Everything went fine. You didn't get mauled by a bear or anything. But when you look in the mirror, you notice a red spot on your skin and realize that you were bit by a tick. And unfortunately for you, this little guy was carrying the infamous F. tularensis, one of the most infectious bacteria known to man. The symptoms of this bacteria will begin to appear a few days later. You will likely get a fever, chills, and a headache. You also might start to throw up a lot. All of these are signs that you're dealing with tularemia, the disease caused by the bacteria. As days pass and more of your blood gets infected, you begin to experience severe shortness of breath, chest pain, and a cough that just won't quit. On top of that,
I think it done, but that means a lot. I know Darren shared it too.
Start to get bigger. It's like they're knocking on your skin, yelling, "Please let us out! It's really starting to suck in here." The disease eventually takes its toll, and you pass.
Your hand's been itchy?
And never wake
it's
up.
It's probably dry, right?
Tularemia is deadly with a mortality rate of up to 60%. That's only if it's left untreated. If you just gotten medical help earlier, you could have been treated with antibiotics. But now it's too late. B. pseudomallii. One morning, you're out in your garden enjoying the fresh breeze while planting roses. Unknown to you, there's a deadly bacteria called B. pseudomallii hiding in the soil, which begins infiltrating your system through the tiniest cuts on your skin. You might also breathe in the bacteria while smelling the flowers.
The cold weather,
or,
yeah.
For whatever reason, you decide to taste the dirt. When the bacteria first enters your system, you might get a fever and a cough, or find it slightly difficult to breathe. These are signs that you're developing melioidosis, a disease that kills around 90,000 people worldwide every year. One of the scariest things about melioidosis is that it's able to mimic the symptoms of other diseases, which is why many doctors misdiagnose it. As the disease continues to get stronger, you begin to have severe headaches. You're gasping for air at that point. You're also experiencing abdominal pain and stomach problems. And then there are the painful skin lesions appearing as red bumps filled with pus that keep leaking out. Knowing all of this, you can understand why melioidosis kills around half of its patients. And if you're unlucky and get severe symptoms right from the beginning, then you're most certainly screwed. So next time you're out in the garden, remember there's more than just worms in that soil, and you should really consider investing in some good gardening gloves. Anthrax, B. anthracis. After all this talk about how dangerous a bacterial infection can be, you might think, that's it, I'm never leaving my house and we'll just survive on pizza deliveries. But what if we told you that you're not even safe there? Allow us to explain. In late 2001, someone, we're not entirely sure who, Maybe a crazy scientist, maybe not, decided to use anthrax, a serious disease caused by bacteria, called Bacillus anthracis, as a weapon by sending letters. The plan was that whoever opened these letters would inhale the spores without knowing.
Oh,
the
that's
person behind
evil.
this operation probably grew the anthracis in a lab, but this bacteria could also be found in nature, like in contaminated soil. When inhaled, B. anthracis is essentially a death sentence. We're talking 85 to 90% fatality rate if the person doesn't get the required treatment. Let's say you inhale the bacteria. You begin to feel feverish, like someone's using your skull as a pot to boil water. And despite being bedridden, your muscles are searing with pain, as if you just run a marathon. Every torturous breath now reminds you that you've been taking the ability to breathe for granted. You also begin dry heaving and coughing up blood as a result of your ever-shriveling lungs. Now you have a week to get diagnosed and be put on the usual treatment, antibiotics and antitoxin therapy. But even then, it's a coin toss whether you'll be back on your feet or end up 6 feet under. Anthrax is indeed at its deadliest when inhaled, but it can also get into your system through wounds, contaminated meat, or even if you get injected with an infected needle. So never share your needles, kids. Leptospira. Every year, Leptospira infects 1 million people around the world and sends 60,000 of them to the big sleepover up in the sky, so it's a real global problem. Drinking sketchy water, playing in mud, or cuddling with a sick animal, these are 3 things we generally wouldn't recommend unless you really want to get infected with this bacteria. Once it's inside your system, there's a good chance you'll develop a severe infection known as Weil's disease. This disease can cause jaundice, which can give your eyes, skin, and even your urine an unusual yellow color. There's also a chance you get kidney failure, which could cause your feet to swell up, making it difficult for you to walk. On top of that, you would always be exhausted and nauseous, and your skin might even begin to itch. If you don't get treatment right away, your lungs might also start bleeding, forcing you to keep coughing blood. At this point, the mortality rate would be higher than 50%. But considering how terrible your entire body would be feeling, you'd probably be wishing it was 100%. Thankfully, if you respond well to antibiotics, the immune system will eventually clear the bacteria from your body. And of course, by the bladder. Never forget to
Yeah, me either, Dumbo, honestly.
Well, you'll be ghosting us, literally. CRPA. Let's say you're diagnosed with a serious bacterial infection. The doctor reassures you that everything will be okay. After all, they're prescribing you carbapenems, one of the strongest antibiotics ever made. But no one knew there was another bacteria hiding in your body, P. aeruginosa, which usually infects hospitalized patients. Worst of all, this particular strain is resistant to
doesn't it?
antibiotics. As the days pass, you find yourself coughing up thick, green or yellow mucus, each breath more labored than the last. The pain in your chest is unbearable, like a vice tightening around your lungs. But here's the scary part. This bacteria has a trick called horizontal gene transfer, meaning it shares its antibiotic resistance with the other bacteria in your body, making them almost impossible to kill. You can almost imagine the bacteria passing cheat codes to each other, becoming stronger with every passing hour. On top of that, CRPA already has a mortality rate that makes Grim Reaper nod in approval, ranging between 30 to 70%. And if you're particularly unlucky, you might even suffer from septic shock, which means you could die because of how low your blood pressure is. Now, the doctor will try to give you other antibiotics that the disease might be sensitive to, especially newer ones. The thing is, CRPA might develop resistance to those as well. And not to forget, the other bacteria have resistance too. So at that point, all you can really do is close your eyes and cross your fingers. Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever, or rickettsia. While most infections make you feel terrible, our rickettsia here turns you into a walking, talking piece of modern art, as it could cover you from head to toe with pink spots. Let's start by pointing out that our rickettsia has a fatality rate of 25%, which is quite high. This means if 10 people get infected with it, 2.5 of them would die. Yep, that's how statistics work. This
That's a
bacteria
weird.
can enter your bloodstream through tick bites. From there,
Yeah.
the white blood cells will begin to attack the bacteria, and you'll start to experience
Testing.
the usual symptoms. The area around the bite will start getting redder, hotter, and pulsating with pain. Your body's temperature will rise quickly as if you're lying on the sand of the desert. And you'll have a nagging headache, as if someone has been screaming into your ears all day. But the unique sign of this bacteria is a rash that could spread across your entire body. Okay, so at first, the rash won't seem that bad. It'll appear as light pink spots on your hands and feet. The spots aren't even itchy, which is why you probably wouldn't care enough to treat them and think that they're going to disappear on their own. But you couldn't be more wrong. Over the next few days, you observe that the spots aren't going away. It continues to spread and eventually covers your entire body. The spots might also turn dark red and start to raise on your skin slightly. And everything is scarier once it turns 3D. Lucky for you, things change if you start taking doxycycline, which targets the bacteria directly, causing the symptoms to go away. Slowly but surely, the spots begin to vanish, and before you know it, you'll forget they were ever there. Crab. With a mortality rate that's up to 80%, crab is a bacteria that almost never misses an opportunity, always preying on people with weak immune systems. Crab can slip into your body through an invasive medical device that wasn't sterilized properly. Maybe it's a ventilator, maybe a catheter. Let's say a ventilator because we really don't want to imagine what the latter option would look like. Once crab is inside your body, it causes infections in your blood, lungs, womb, and urinary tract, which means every time you go to the bathroom, you'd feel like you're pushing out lava instead of water. You start getting
so mortality rate means the amount of death. Yeah, I think so, Dumbbell.
You feel everything under your
I think
skin
so.
becoming increasingly cold.
Like mortal means life, right? Like you think about like Hercules, how they say immortal, which means he lives forever. Mortal, it's like you don't live forever. Yep, that's summer.
For your organs. Yet at the same time, you have a fever, which causes your skin to be extremely hot to the touch. Now, this disease has a lot of tricks up its sleeve. For example, it's resistant to nearly all antibiotics. Even the heavy hitters, like the broad-spectrum carbapenem drugs, don't stand a chance against it. This is because the disease has genes that produce enzymes that destroy these antibiotics. Over the next few weeks, you get severe sepsis, organ failure, and eventually, you die. Oh boy, you've died a lot of times watching this video, but the bacteria doesn't die with you. Instead, it stays alive inside your body and clings to surrounding surfaces, waiting to infect its next victim. Talk about till death do us part. Streptococcus pneumoniae. Meet Streptococcus.
What about wait? There's a video named Chilling. Oh, it's called Chilling Scare. It's not Chilling Stories. Mental disorders. What?
Living with it. It is a rare condition where a person forgets everything about themselves and their identity.
So like amnesia.
Dissociative fugue. Dissociative fugue is a rare condition where a person forgets everything about themselves and their identity. However, what separates a fugue state from something like amnesia is that the person suffering from this condition is not confused or scared by the sudden memory loss. Instead, they're fully aware of their surroundings and often travel to some faraway location almost as if they're searching for something. In some cases, the patient can even start a whole new, fully functioning life under a brand new name, which is probably the scariest symptom of this disorder. It's almost like the person you recognize as your own self takes a back seat while someone else controls your body. These second lives can look so normal that unless someone knew the person before, they'd have no idea they were speaking to someone experiencing such a disturbing condition. Someone can also spend months trapped as this alternative self, living a brand new life, while to their loved ones, they're a missing person. Now, we still don't have a clear picture of how such a disorder is even possible, but we do know that it has a strong correlation with amnesia and, more importantly, dissociative identity disorder, which is also known as multiple personality disorder. As for what causes such an extreme disorder in the first place...
What's his name? Oh, he has a big channel. So his name is Chilling Scares. I think I've seen his channel before. Hush! Your wrist been hurting again, Devil? That's terrible. If you need to lay down, please do.
So the reasons can range from severe mental and physical trauma to the use of
Yeah, I can still see your comments.
Even as a side effect of dementia. Fortunately, there hasn't been a single case of dissociative fugue becoming a permanent part of someone's life. All patients eventually come to their senses, only to find themselves in an unfamiliar location with no recollection of how they got there. However, while some regain their memories shortly after emerging from their fugue state, others remain unable to recall anything about themselves, which is what happened with Jeffrey Allen Ingram. On the 10th of September 2006, Jeff woke up on a sidewalk in Denver, Colorado. Now, of course, waking up on the sidewalk would be distressing enough on its own, but Jeff had to face an even harsher reality. He had no memory of who he was and how he got there.
It was early in the morning. I'm not sure at what time. It looked like the sun was just starting to come up, so there's some light there. I was half picking myself up off of the ground, and I had no idea where I was. I didn't recognize no buildings, no streets, no nothing.
He frantically searched his pockets, hoping to find an ID or any other document that had his name. Unfortunately, all he found was $8 in cash. After failing
Dumbo, I'm watching, it's an interesting channel. It's named Chilling Scares. And this is the video named 6 Most Disturbing Rare Mental Disorders. I thought that sounds interesting.
Remember a single detail about his past, Jeff turned to the people in the vicinity to ask for help. Sadly, they were less helpful than he had hoped. To them, Jeff was a crazy person on drugs.
And it was extremely, extremely terrifying. They turned me away as if I was, someone that lives off of the streets or was some kind of a psychotic person, like you don't know where you are kind of thing.
Without any other option at his disposal, Jeff started working toward the most logical solution he could think of at the time, finding a hospital. However, he didn't have enough money on hand to get a cab. So he set off on foot and eventually found a hospital after walking continuously for 8 hours. But due to his complete memory loss, even getting an appointment in a hospital was a challenge.
And I ended up walking into Denver Health. I walked up to where they take the admissions and stuff like that, and said I need help. They go, okay, well, what is your name? I said, I have no idea. That's what I'm here for. She says, well, you got to put something down. I said, I don't know my name. Like, you guys don't understand. So they just gave me a name and stuff there. John Doe. Still drilled me. What's your name? I said, I don't know. And I'm in tears at this time. I'm shaking really, really bad. I can barely stand up.
While in the hospital, the doctors tried everything they could, from medication to therapy, to help him recover his memory. But even after 6 weeks of treatment, Jeff had zero clue about his identity. The only option he had left was to make his face as famous as possible, so maybe someone from his previous life could identify him. So on October 22nd, he went onto national TV to ask for help.
I don't know. It's hard to explain. I just try to look for information in my head, and it's not there.
It's just blank.
Yeah.
What's the hardest part about that then? About not knowing?
It's very stressful, yes.
Can you do me a favor? Can you take off your hat so we can see what you look like without the baseball cap? Because people may remember you that way. And do you know if you always wore glasses or you just have no idea?
I have no idea.
Why don't you take those off as well so we can see what it looks like without the glasses?
Luckily, his fiancée, Penny Hansen, recognized him and immediately contacted the police. She also gave them pictures of the two together to prove that she was telling the truth.
Wow.
Jeffrey Ingram hugged his fiancée today, who just 24 hours ago, he couldn't even identify. He didn't even know himself.
As it turned out, Jeff was a 40-year-old machinist from Olympia, Washington. On September 6th, he went out to visit his friend in Canada who was dying of cancer, and that's when he went into his fugue state for the next 4 days. The stress of knowing that a dear friend could pass away at any moment due to terminal illness was likely what triggered the disorder. However, it's important to note that this wasn't the first time something like this happened to Jeff. He had experienced the same issue twice before, with him going missing for 9 whole months back in 1995. Though he did regain his memory quickly after waking up from that fugue state. Unfortunately, the same did not happen in 2006. As romantic as it would have been, he didn't regain his memory after seeing his fiancée after nearly 2 months. And it took years for him to readjust into his old life. In order to prevent such confusion in the future, Ingram ordered GPS shoes and had his identity information tattooed on him. He also started wearing a zip disc with medical information around his neck. The most unsettling part of the incident, however, was that he remembered having 2 children who died in a car accident.
What came out of that? Any clues?
A few clues that I might have worked in New York or in the New York area.
It's usually the left. This, quote, alien hand moves on its own, often in unpredictable and creepy ways, making the patients believe that the hand attached to their body is not theirs. What makes this condition even more unsettling is how the alien hand can directly contradict the other. Imagine flipping on a light switch only for your rogue hand to immediately switch it back off. It can also be violent towards the patient, with some reports of the affected hand trying to choke the patient, which is a truly disturbing thing to experience. And while we don't fully know why something like this occurs, we do know that it's more common in people who have undergone split brain surgery in the past. For those who don't know, our brain consists of 2 hemispheres that are connected in the middle with a bridge of nerves. Our motor functions are also split between the 2 halves. The left brain controls our right side, while the right brain controls the left. More importantly, the left hemisphere governs our ability to speak. It's where our language centers are housed, the part of us that can articulate thoughts. In a sense, it's the voice of who we are. However,
Yeah, he just remembers his identity, Dumbo. Yeah.
Which is the bridge that connects the 2 hemispheres, is cut to treat severe drug-resistant epilepsy. And as the theory goes, split brain surgery removes the right brain's ability to communicate its intentions with the left brain, which, as we discussed, controls speech. In silence, the right brain remains conscious, aware, and functioning, but with no voice to express itself. And since it doesn't have a way to vocalize its intentions, the right brain often resorts to moving the hand under its control. A real-life example of this is Karen Byrne in New Jersey. She had the split brain surgery when she was 27 years old to treat epilepsy, and it was a success. That is, until her left hand started moving on its own. In an interview, Karen explained the first time this happened during a doctor's visit. Quote, "Dr. O'Connor said, 'Karen, what are you doing? Your hand's undressing you.' Until he said that, I had no idea that my left hand was opening up the button.
Yeah, same here.
So I started rebuttoning with the right hand, and as soon as I stopped, the left hand started unbuttoning them. So he put an emergency call through to one of the other doctors and said, 'Mike, you've got to get here right away. We've got a problem.' She also explained how it now hinders her day-to-day life, stating, 'I'd light a cigarette, balance it on an ashtray, and then my left hand would reach forward and stub it out. It would take things out of my handbag, and I wouldn't realize, so I would walk away.'"
Oh boy, I got a 60-second ad. Ooh, that's long. So his name is Chilling Scares. I can remember that. Oh, I hate when ads are that long. Interesting video, though, I have to say. Genetic mutation. Ooh, that one looks interesting.
So, you and your husband are finally going to be parents. And as excited new parents, you have to make sure everything is right. That includes going for scans, antenatal, and every other pregnancy thing involved. However, on the first visit to the doctor, your scan shows that your baby has an abnormal, incomplete spine, which is medically called spina bifida. This abnormal mutation is the most common central nervous system congenital disability that affects 1 in 2,000 live births in the United States.
That's
You
not
see, when
that
baby
rare.
grows inside its mother, the spine is supposed to form like a tube that closes all the way to the brain. But in spina bifida, part of this tube does not close.
Tell me about it.
It's like a zipper that doesn't zip up all the way, leaving
Ugh.
room. Because of this, the backbone.
I just don't understand how they could be so like a minute long. Isn't that ironic?
Not form completely. Now, when your baby is finally delivered, the affected area of the spine might either stick out or have a sac of fluid that may or may not include the spinal cord inside. This condition could cause deformity, paralysis, intellectual disability, and most often muscle weakness. However, the good news is that spina bifida can be detected early, so your baby's spine can be fixed while the fetus is still inside the womb or immediately after they are delivered. Sadly, the nerve damage cannot be resolved even with the surgery involved, so your baby would still have to live with a permanent walking disability. Thalassemia.
That sucks.
It's been barely up to a week since you rushed your 2-year-old son to the hospital to get treated for fever, and now he's sick again. But this time he looks and feels worse than before. His skin is very pale and his eyes are sunken like someone who's been a vampire's breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the past week. So after a series of more serious tests, your son is diagnosed with thalassemia, a genetic blood disorder that makes your body produce very little hemoglobin. You see, hemoglobin is a very crucial part of your red blood cells because it is...
At Chamberlain University.
Okay, well, this one's only 15 seconds.
It is basically the delivery truck for oxygen and supplies it in your body to make energy and generally keep you strong and healthy. Now, if you have thalassemia, these delivery trucks are more like clunky old jalopies. They're a bit run down because the hemoglobin inside them isn't quite right, so they can't even carry oxygen as they're meant to. It's like the factory producing the engines, which is your bone marrow, got the instructions all jumbled up. As a result, you would always feel exhausted, and even trying to lift something as light as a feather would feel like a 10-kilogram dumbbell. You have very pale yellowish skin and severe deformities on your bones and your face.
That's terrible.
Like someone took a punch from Mike Tyson. If these symptoms are left untreated, it could cause some serious organ damage, like heart failure.
Oh my
which can lead
goodness.
to an early death between ages 20 and 30. Unfortunately, thalassemia does not have a cure, so to keep you alive, you need regular blood transfusions to balance out.
Are
and
you
help out the situation.
serious? That's tragic. That's tragic. Tell me about it, Dumbbell. I think someone voted, but they probably just left right away. They voted for animes, huh?
Hemochromatosis. So let's say your body is a piggy bank and iron is the money. Now, after
You know what? I'm gonna microwave a burrito. I think my mother might be back like a half hour, so I'll be back. Yeah, me either, Dumbbell, honestly.
months of saving in your piggy bank, it gets too full, so you're supposed to naturally just stop putting in more money. However, if you have this genetic mutation called hemochromatosis, your body literally doesn't get the memo and will keep stuffing and storing irons until you eventually break down. Now, iron in moderate amounts is actually necessary for your health and development because it makes red blood cells and produces certain hormones. But in this case, the extra irons are practically fatal. It's like having too many guests at a party because soon things will start to get messy. Because the irons have nowhere else to go, they build up in your liver, pancreas, heart, and joints, poisoning these body parts. Over time, you'd start to have severe health complications like heart failure, liver cancer, irregular heartbeat, and arthritis. Basically, every single problem you think of will start to plague you. Your skin would also become very dark even though you haven't been outside in ages. However, once you go to the hospital for treatment, the doctors just need to drain your body of all the excess unwanted irons, like emptying out the overstuffed piggy bank. Hemochromatosis runs in families and is passed down from parents to children.
That
through
sucks.
genes. The condition affects roughly 1 million Americans, and most of them don't even know that they have it.
1 million Americans? That's a lot.
Until they're older because it takes time for the iron to build up. Batten disease.
Batten disease.
So your brain is like a very busy office. Everyone works hard, files are processed, and everything is running smoothly. Now, picture what happens when the janitors decide to go on strike. Well,
they are
the
good,
trash
aren't they?
piles up, some files get lost, and the office essentially becomes a chaotic mess. That's exactly what happens to your body in Batten disease. Batten disease occurs when the special proteins in your brain cells responsible for breaking down and recycling waste go on a permanent work leave. When this happens, fats, sugars, and proteins will start to build up in the brain cells, and every important part of your body, like the eyes and nervous system, causing a lot of problems and a pretty messy situation. This cellular clutter buildup would lead to vision loss because the cells in your eyes are piling with waste, and you'll experience seizures due to a burst of electrical activity in the brain, loss of motor skills, and extreme behavioral changes. Your
Yep,
brain
I'm
will
really
also have
American,
trouble
Sunbelt.
processing information,
Mhm.
leading to memory loss and learning difficulties. What's worse, it
Hush. That's why you still the only one that's here right now. Yeah, I haven't heard most of these, I think.
Batten disease is a progressive condition, which means your problems would only get worse as time goes on. After a while, dementia, tremors, hallucinations, and episodes of psychosis would start.
Dementia?
This condition is
Seriously?
highly fatal and usually appears in infancy, childhood, or the early teenage years and affects about 14,000 children worldwide.
That happens only in children, huh? But 14,000? Wow, that's extremely rare, which means it's extremely serious.
Adrenoleukodystrophy,
What?
ALD. Now, for any city to function properly,
ALD.
there has to be a great transportation system that can deliver messages effectively. For your body, those mailmen are basically the neurons because they're in charge of sending and delivering messages at lightning speed from your brain to the rest of your body. However, if you have ALD, these neurons become stuck, like when a massive traffic jam clogs the lanes. These neurons are stuck because the fatty acids build up and cause a pileup that damages the myelin, a protective coating around your nerve fibers. Without this coating, neurons can't communicate properly. Basically, the traffic jam in your brain would keep getting worse and worse until there's chaos everywhere. You lose your ability to walk, talk, and think clearly. You'd also experience serious seizures and behavioral changes like intense mood swings and anger. ALD mostly affects men because it's linked to the X gene that results in the mutation that prevents the body from breaking down fatty acids.
Right.
Although this condition is very rare, treatment options like stem cell implants and gene therapy can be very effective if your symptoms are detected on time. Noonan syndrome. Just imagine this condition as an unexpected and unwanted
You heard it
party
before?
guest who comes in and starts to mix things together. to
Wait, is the
create
live stream
havoc.
freezing?
Noonan syndrome is
Okay.
usually present
I think it's a little
before
bit
birth, and affects
behind.
a person's growth and development. It's like your body's instruction
I see the
manual
GoFundMe
has
like
some
2 minutes
extra
in
notes
delay.
scribbled in it. So if you have this condition, you will have a broad forehead, a small chin, and a droopy wide set of eyes that would look like your face is permanently surprised. But this is just the fun part. Your blood might not clot as well as it should because your platelets are a bit too laid back to jump into action quickly. So if you get bruised, you'll bleed longer than usual. You would also experience heart defects, such as valves with thickened walls, which can be fatal if left unchecked. As if those are not enough problems already, you'd be shorter than the average person, experience learning difficulties, and have a higher risk of developing certain types of cancer like leukemia.
That
But at
sucks.
least you'll always get in the front row in group photos and never have to worry about blocking anyone's view. While there is no cure for Noonan syndrome, treatments like growth hormones and heart surgery can help you live a fairly normal life. Brugada syndrome. Picture your heart as an enthusiastic DJ at a never-ending dance party whose only job is to keep a steady beat going 24/7. You can consider Brugada syndrome as that one weird guest who occasionally tries to hijack the DJ booth and play their offbeat tune, which would turn your steady heartbeat into an irregular one. This offbeat tune can be called palpitation, and it literally prevents blood from circulating correctly in your body. Brugada syndrome is caused when there's a defect in certain genes that handle sodium. These genetic defects would cause the sodium channels to malfunction in the heart muscle cells, leading to abnormal heart rhythms. However, this syndrome can be very tricky because it might never show you signs that it's lurking in your body. So you feel totally fine walking around and living your best life, completely unaware that your heart is planning an impromptu raid. You can literally go to bed chill and comfortable and suddenly feel like you can't breathe. This would quickly progress to dizziness, and you might even faint or get a cardiac arrest. You can even slip into an eternal slumber
Oh my
in severe
goodness.
situations while you sleep. This condition runs in families, so
Hmm.
instead of inheriting a vintage heirloom, you'll get an incurable disobedient heartbeat. Treatment like a cardioverter defibrillator
Sucks.
(ICD) implant would deliver a shock to your heart anytime it detects an irregular rhythm, so at least you can avoid sudden death. Hirschsprung's disease. In a healthy intestine, there are special nerve cells along its length, and the nerves are responsible for telling the intestine how to move food and waste through the body. But if you're an unlucky baby with Hirschsprung's disease, a part of your intestine would be missing these nerve cells, and without them, that section of your intestine would not be able to push waste through properly, causing a blockage.
Oh,
In other
dear.
words, poop would essentially start to fill and swell up like a balloon at a clown convention. The symptoms would show up right after you're born and can include not being able to poop or pee within the first 48
Oh.
hours. You would also have a swollen, huge stomach that would be accompanied by intense vomiting, constipation, and jaundice.
which is a condition that causes your skin and the whites of your eyes to turn yellow. Hirschsprung's disease affects the large intestines of about 1 in every 5,000 newborns worldwide, but it can be treated with surgery to remove the damaged intestines and connect the healthy ones back together. Kinase dysplasia. Kinase dysplasia.
I can't have a juice. Damn it. Dumbo, I gotta do this again. No. The live stream is behind again, so I'm gonna use the other one, which means man, see my face is gonna lag so much, but oh well. I'm gonna have to open a new tab. That sucks.
How the body develops, particularly in bones and joints. It's like your body decided to follow a manual, but some instructions got covered in ink along the way. You see, the human body has a special material called collagen that acts like the glue that helps hold our body parts together and gives them shape. But if you have kinase dysplasia, your collagen will not form properly because of a genetic defect. And as a result, your face would be as flat as a surfboard with bulging big eyes and a very small nose. You won't be able to see or hear properly, which is honestly just wrong. And as a result, your face would be as flat as a surfboard with bulging big eyes and a very small nose. You won't be able to see or hear properly, which is honestly just wrong, considering the fact that your eyes are 3 times bigger than the normal size. You'll remain very tiny for the rest of your life, as if your body just hit the compress button as soon as you turn 7. You would also have orthopedic conditions like club feet, stiff joints, premature arthritis, and scoliosis, which is the curvature of the spine that would give your back a permanent-looking C or S shape. Unfortunately, this condition has no cure, but treatments like physical therapy can help manage the symptoms and support development. Alport syndrome. Now, the major function of your kidney is to filter out all the waste products, toxins, and excess substances like water and salts from the blood to form urine, which helps maintain a clean and balanced internal environment. If you unfortunately have Alport syndrome, your kidneys, which are supposed to be the super efficient water filters, would start getting tiny holes that would eventually turn bigger over time. Imagine trying to make coffee with a leaky filter. Eventually, they won't be able to properly filter blood, wastes, and extra fluid in your body, and some will escape into your urine. The first symptom you would notice is traces of blood in your urine, usually followed by swelling in your legs, ankles, feet, and around your eyes. It's like someone literally pumped liters of water into your body. Soon after, you'd also develop high blood pressure. That, if left unchecked, would progress to kidney disease and failure, which is the fatal state. Alport syndrome happens when there's a mutation of the collagen protein, which is responsible for maintaining the normal structure and function of your kidney. The syndrome is rare, affects about 1 in 5,000 to 10,000 people, and is more common amongst men. There's no cure yet, so treatment would be focused on protecting your kidneys, managing blood pressure, and going for regular checkups to monitor kidney function, and sometimes in severe cases, kidney transplants to swap out the old filter for a new one. Canavan disease. Let's say your brain is a well-organized library with all its sections neatly tucked away. And now imagine the Canavan disease as the noisy troublemaker who starts piling up chemicals that would turn your brain's well-organized library into a rowdy teenager's bedroom. This chemical overstays its welcome and starts messing with your brain's white matter, which is supposed to be your brain's information superhighway. So you'll be left with a dirt road instead of a superhighway. The first symptoms usually show up in infancy. So if you're a baby with Canavan disease, you might have trouble holding up your head due to poor muscle tone in your neck, moving around, or hitting those Instagram-worthy baby milestones. Over time, the disease would lead to serious complications like seizures, reflux with vomiting, blindness, and feeding problems. This condition affects about 1 in 100,000 people, and it has no cure yet. So treatments like physical therapy, speech and occupational therapy, anticonvulsant medications, and nutritional support are used to manage symptoms and help improve quality of life and slow disease progression. Lesch-Nyhan syndrome. So, your body has a certain gene whose job it is to recycle a chemical called purines. But if you have Lesch-Nyhan syndrome, your body would be unable to recycle these purines because you're born with a shortage of the gene. As a result of this defect, uric acid would start accumulating in your body, much like leaves piling up in a yard when no one's raking them. This leads to gout and kidney stones, which are amongst the top 10 most painful things a human could ever experience.
Goodness.
Your nervous system would also be affected, making you lose control of your muscle movements, which could cause several involuntary movements.
Can you hear me,
Your body
Dumbbell?
constantly tries to dance to a song only it can hear. You'd be unable to walk and would most likely be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. Plus, a couple of weird behaviors would be thrown into the mix, like biting yourself or constantly banging your head on something, because you'll always have this irresistible urge to hurt yourself. It's like your body becomes a mischievous toddler that won't listen. About 1 in 380,000 people are affected by this syndrome, but it mostly affects males because it is dormant in the X chromosome. This condition has no cure, but there are treatments such as medications to control uric acid levels, physical restraints to dental guards to prevent self-injury, behavioral therapy, and medicines for neurological symptoms that can help you live a fairly normal life.
So I ate since what, like 6:49? Man, I didn't know the Children's Hospital was going that long. Oh, this map book sucks. I'm sorry, Dumbo. Damn it.